Hi, this is In My Lounge Room, and I'm your host, Damo, and this week, Skye is a bit unwell, so I've got a couple of guests with me to talk about the Friendzone. Hi, so, as I said, Skye's not here. I'm not by myself, though. I'm joined today by a friend from the last few years that I work with, in the name of Cameron.
Hello.
And his house flatmate and friend, Bernadette. How's it going, guys?
Good.
Yeah?
Good. Rather full.
Well, we've just had pizza. It was good. There's one sitting on the table there, just in case. Yeah, feel free to have another one.
I'm so full.
No, it's all right. ASMR is greatly appreciated. so just make sure you get right in close and give it a bit of that. You guys can't hear that. I'm the only one with headphones on. So, as I said, Skye's got some sort of lurgy. She had I was hoping that we were going to be able to talk about her speed dating event that she held last night I think it was at the Orient in Fremantle that she hosted. Have you guys ever done that?
Nope.
No? Would you?
I don't like people enough. Like a large group of people trying to get to know someone in the space of 2 minutes?
Yeah, I think they give them 7 minutes. I don't know. I've never done it, but
I can't even figure out what I want to say to someone in 7 minutes.
I think, because talking to Skye about it last week, they have like a board, a whiteboard or chalkboard or whatever, and they write prompts on there for you. So when you cycle around, I imagine like a lazy Susan, like
just throw a dart and see what you hear.
Yeah, no, I mean like all the women sit in a circle and all the men sit on the lazy Susan, and then you just spin it to the left, and they come around and then, hi, my name's Damien. So they give the questions of the, to get the conversation going. But, I don't know. I would find it incredibly awkward, but I guess I also, I'd probably get caught in the conversation really quickly and then be like, okay, next,
I mean, how much substance can you actually fit into 7 minutes?
Yeah, what do you learn?
Like, okay, cool. I've learned that you can talk crap for a few minutes.
Yeah, you good at small talk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I learned that it's now cloudy outside and you got wet on the way here. I don't know.
Yeah. So if the questions are like, what do you do for a living? You've got to, and then someone says something really boring that you're not into. I guess it would happen as well, wouldn't you? You'd have people just a lot of staring off into space going, no vibe. But yeah. But speaking of getting to know people, so this week, talking to Skye during the week, and for you guys, it's a bit of a without notice kind of situation. But the friend zone. What's your understanding? With not your opinion, but what's your your understanding on the friend zone?
Cop out?
That's an opinion.
Well,
what is it?
it's the idea that a quote-unquote perfectly nice partner who is otherwise ideal for you might be not seen as relationship material because they are in fact your friend and therefore are prevented from progressing down the relationship, I guess, conga line or something.
Yeah, okay.
Conga line.
Conga lines are good.
It's like, I'm trying to
Love
think,
a good analogy.
I'm thinking of like, the victory points in that board game where you just progress down the victory line.
Yeah. I think it's also the perception that the person who has been quote unquote friend zoned expects that because they are into somebody else, that therefore that person has to be into them.
Yeah, there's definitely a huge amount of expectation and
entitlement.
Yeah, there's this.
I've done this thing for you. I deserve this chance.
Yeah.
You're not reciprocating? Oh, I'm clearly just a friend.
There's
Sorry.
there's definitely a viewing that friendship is a lesser thing than relationship, and that having some sort of niceness or I treat you well, therefore I should get this. It's very transactional.
Yeah. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that all three of us think it's a pile of bullshit. Does the friend zone actually exist, or is it just something that... But there's two things. Does it exist? And if it does exist, is it actually a bad thing?
I'm going to say yes, it does exist, but not for any of the reasons that are commonly thrown out.
Yeah.
Someone's preferences in what they find for a partner are never going to align perfectly with everyone else's. So if someone views someone as, you're a great person, I like having you around, I like having a friendship with you, then going, why won't you date me? Oh, well, I don't see you that way. That's not, I'm putting you in the friend zone. You're not what I wanted a partner. So the friend zone, as I said earlier, is a cop-out.
Yeah.
Because it's a way of dismissing what they may want in a partner or what they're hoping for by going, well, I've done this, or I have all these qualities, or the high-value partner.
Yeah.
God, I hate that term. And basically just reducing all their preferences or what they want or what they're looking for as no, I'm here. You should, you're not doing that? No.
So it's, the key word I think you put there was the expectation. Yeah, because I'm going to go with that, because I like to say there is no friend zone. Or one of my favourite quotes is the friend zone only exists, and it's a lot of the time men. So I'm going to use the example of men being friend zoned. I'm not going to say that there's women out there who don't feel like they've been friend zoned, but predominantly it's something that men say.
I think just to kind of round out my ranting, the friend zone is basically the other side of just destroying your stuff. The other side of the equation of this is what I'm looking for in a partner versus the rest of the population. So the partner sphere is very specific to them versus everyone else has the possibility of being a friend.
Yeah.
So that random on the street, I very well could end up being a friend with. So I don't see it as a diminishing feature of that relationship with that person. Whereas a relationship sphere is very specific, and just because you might be the richest, the most attractive, the nicest, the most considerate, doesn't mean that's what they want. So
but those qualities, those initial kind of superficial, I don't even know if superficial is the right word, but those initial face value qualities that we get from things like dating apps, for example, those things. That was a wry laughter. Those kind of things are all well and good until you actually look at the depths of someone's soul.
Well, I laugh because the amount of people that are posting their Tinder conversations where if they don't respond in a couple of minutes, the backlash and what, are you friend zoning me? It's like,
God,
bro, you've literally sent 3 messages backwards and forwards. Get over it.
There's definitely a thing there where even if you put forward the whole, if you match with someone on a dating app, there is this sort of admission of, I guess there's some sort of mutual attraction to each other. But then there's a entitlement that comes with that so you're attracted to me. This means you get my, I get your time. It almost actually directly has the same qualities of the friend zone thing of, so you talk to me, that means you must give me your affections, because that's one thing I see that comes up regarding the friend zone a lot, which is basically typically men doing this thing of she talks to me about emotional stuff and her personal life, and she talks to me when other guys are cruel to her, and what I'm not supposed, she's clearly using me, but it's like, mate, she talks to all of her female friends the same way. You're not being diminished in any way. It's that you're held in a position of trust, but she's not into you that way.
She doesn't want to have sex with you. and she's not obligated to.
Yeah.
I think what my quote that I was just going to say before was people who think they've been friend zoned don't value women as friends. You're going, well, you're not good enough to be my friend. If you're not going to be my girlfriend, then I don't want you in my life. Or I'm going to hang around and just be jaded and bitter towards you, but I'm still going to hang in there because, hey, I might be able to convince you to sleep with me one day.
I've seen some absolute horror stories where you'll have these guys literally hang on for like 10 years until after a woman's gotten divorced or something, and then be like, cool, it's my turn now. It's like, look, it's not a carousel.
Yeah.
It's humans. And
I've had this conversation with women who have been in that situation where like they've had a very close friend of theirs. So I was having a conversation with a girlfriend of mine actually, because she was talking about this guy that she was friends with, that she trusted as a friend for a long, long time. And then he told her that he was into her, and she said, well, no, because he'd been waiting around for her to break up with the boyfriends and whatever. And she's gone, no, I don't see you that way. And he absolutely spat the dummy. Like he had a big man tantrum, you know.
One of I've actually got I've been on the receiving end of the basically the how dare you friend zone me without actually using that word when I was younger. Like I remember I had a guy friend who we had a fair few common interests, but to be honest, it was very much like I didn't perceive it as that so many common interests. It was like we liked a few of the same web comics and a couple of other things, but it wasn't like, oh yeah, we have everything in common. But I remember having a discussion with him where I revealed I had a crush on another person.
So you've confided in him as a friend.
Yep.
Yeah.
The following conversation was literally, oh, well, why do you like them? And I'm like, well, you know, it's hard to articulate. Like I was only a teenager at the time anyway, so it was like, well, I get the butterfly feelings or something. But I was like, it was this. He actually was requiring an itemized list. Like I mentioned things like, oh well, we have a lot in common. Well, we have a lot in common. Oh well, he's very sweet to me. Oh well, I'm very sweet to you. It went on like this, as though everything had to be refuted to prove that this other person was more worthy of having his affections, just affections in their general direction, than the person I was speaking to.
So what age were you in this when this happened?
It was late teens admittedly. I was very sheltered as a child. So I think I was 18 or 19.
Okay. So how old was he?
He was 17 or 18.
Okay. So where do you think we learned this? Where did he learn this?
Well, I blame, blame's a bit of a strong word, but media is a big factor. One of, think about how many rom-coms are out there, and not even just, rom-coms are one example, but, people tend to dismiss it as, well, rom-coms are chick flicks. But comedies, even, ones where the adventures of some goofy guy are the main feature of it, he will always get the girl in the end, and you typically have, the average everyman who will get whatever girl has his fancy by the end. I think I've only seen maybe one movie where this is kind of flipped on its head a bit.
So one of those is There's Something About Mary.
Yeah, that one's a big example for
so
that.
There's all of those men in there believe that they had some right to marry. Yeah.
Exactly.
Point out a song which was actually quite popular on the radio as well, by Shawn Mendes, Treat You Better.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
I've actually got the lyrics here.
Yep.
Where the opening lines are, I won't lie to you. I know he's just not right for you. And I can tell you, and you can tell me if I'm off, but I see it on your face when you say that he's the one that you want, and you're spending all your time in this wrong situation, and any time you want it to stop.
That's a really good one. Because in this exact example from when I was a teen, I remember at one point the guy I liked, I was really mildly upset with him for something. It was completely stupid. It was literally entirely based on the fact that I hadn't confessed to him yet. I had a bit of a crush. I still had a crush on him, and he made a teasing joke about me and another boy. And me feeling oh gosh, why can't you just, a very, very Taylor Swift, just see me. And I remember the guy who gave me the quiz messaging me going, I wish I could just take you away from him right now. How dare you?
Well, that plays into the next thing. I know I can treat you better than he can, and any girl like you deserves a gentleman. Tell me, why are we wasting time on all your wasted crying when you should be with me instead? I know I can treat you better than he can.
Better than he can.
Yeah. Like, so that's literally the opening of that song, and it's literally already outlined your experience.
Yeah, basically. That is like...
And that was everywhere for a long time.
Yeah. It was an earworm. It was everywhere.
Yeah, that... I hadn't... I don't listen... Like, Billy listens to that song.
Yeah. And that's literally marketed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's 10 years old. So I don't listen to that song. I mean, I listen to songs about existentialism and depression and you know.
Like, it starts...
Yeah.
Look, I'm a Taylor Swift, not gonna lie.
Yeah, okay.
It starts really early, like
Yeah.
that sort of messaging. Like, one of the only movies that kind of comes off the top of my head as terms as a whole, and like there is a little bit of marketing in that regard to go towards girls as well. Like there was there's a movie called Something Borrowed, where you do have the quote unquote nice girl thinking about, you know, she had a long term crush on the boy, but then the boy got engaged to her best friend, and then you have this whole thing where obviously the boy dumps the best friend and goes with her instead. But it's really comparatively less common to have the girl turn out to be the bad guy. Well, you know, some girl turn out to be a bad guy, and a good girl swoops in and saves the day. Like, think of every Adam Sandler movie out there. Like, there's that The Wedding Singer. Like, the entire premise of that is cute little Drew Barrymore, happily, you know, ready to marry this jackass of a dude, and then he's revealed to be, you know, look, he's the big, mean, verbally abusive cheater, and it's okay. Yeah, that's another one. He's got a bit of a reoccurring thing of I love Drew Barrymore there, but to be honest, Drew Barrymore also kind of really highlights that whole... That's the thing they're looking for. They have this idea of this is what the good girl looks like, and I deserve the good girl who will magically turn into everything for me.
Yeah. What? And another one, like the mean girl kind of thing, like in the movies and the TV shows, and like Billy watches these. There's always the mean girl, and she's the popular girl, whereas the quiet one is the one who's not getting the boy, and like she will have to actually become friends. But then you see it on that. I know my thoughts are jumping around a bit here, but you see the boys being friend zoned in those shows all the time. Tall Girl on Netflix is another one.
Haven't seen it.
Preteen, well, you're not a 13-year-old girl, so it's
I've
not
been
your...
told otherwise on many occasions.
Yes. But yeah, so there's a boy in that one who, like, he's her friend. He's all in love with her.
Lizzie McGuire for the millennials out there.
The what, sorry?
Lizzie McGuire.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, Gordo. Like everyone was rooting for Gordo. Everyone.
Yeah, you do. You go for the nice guy. Yeah.
And it's always there is always the thing of they always kind of make the guy that the girl has a crush on that bit of a dick.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's which kind of perpetuates that whole thing of why there's a lot of overlap between the quote-unquote nice guy trademark mentality of got nice guys finish last, why do girls, you know, hate polite men, you know, why do girls want to be treated like trash, and the people who believe that the friend zone is always a thing, because it really melds with their idea of if I'm kind to women, then they won't respect me. Like, I literally saw on Reddit, yeah, I know it's Reddit, not even, you know, not even an hour ago, some guy going, I've concluded that, you know, unless a guy is dominant and aggressive in bed, women will conclude that he's a bad lover. Every woman I talk to says, oh, they need to be a mixture of, you know, every time I ask them about the best time they've had sex, they always talk about how the guy, you know, used them and abused them, and never talk about, you know, the tender men. When I talk about, you know, when I was younger and I was, you know, thinking that I was feminist and things like that, I would treat women with respect, and, you know, clearly that doesn't register on their radar. And I don't know, there was an edit on his comment of, oh, so there's a lot of women responding to me saying they want both, but that just further proves my point that they want to be abused. And it's just like, dudes, that's not exactly what that means. There's definitely this idea that women want things that are inherently bad for them, and it's up to wise men to know that.
That's selective what's the
Selection bias.
yeah
And confirmation bias.
confirmation bias? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like there's a bit there.
Were you going to say something, Cam?
Yeah. I saw a post a long time ago about how, women want the action star who's physically physique and his big, and then one of the women goes, that's not what they want at all. Ask any woman what their first crush was. Seth Cohen. Gordo. It was all these, skinny, lanky boys who live malnutrition and, stunted during puberty.
The complete opposite to me and you.
Yeah. And, like, all these soft, gentle...
They both had good, thick heads of hair. So.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, scientific. But it was absolute opposite of what everything that is portrayed as what women want. Now, obviously, I'm not going to speak for all women because I know quite a few that want the big chiseled bodies and all the rest. But
it's kind of like how often you'll see guys going, rebelling against the idea about women like the dad bod. Like dad bod's, almost a sex symbol at this point.
I still don't believe that's a thing, but that's just my own personal hatred.
I think it also comes down to who speaks the loudest, because you'll see that when it comes to posts online, the people who speak the loudest, who have the loudest opinions, are often the ones who don't think that much about their opinions. A lot of us keep our opinions to ourselves. Or if you're like me, you throw the hand grenade in and then walk away and then let the idiots fight it out between themselves.
I hit the point where I'm like, you're actually not intelligent enough for me to continue talking to.
Well, isn't one of the things that kind of comes up related to this sort of to the physical appearance aspect is another thing that can contributes to that friend zone thing is the guys complaining about the friend zone publicly, by and large, I'm not saying all of them because I know I can think of a couple of exceptions off the top of my head, but by and large, want a conventionally attractive girlfriend. They have the idea of this friend that they have who's conventionally attractive. I'm nice to her. Why does she not reciprocate? She must be shallow. But on the other hand, you'll have them being average or unconventional or, still can be quite attractive themselves. But that's another thing that's reinforced a lot in media. In fact, if you look into TV tropes, they list media where tropes have been applied. And there are two tropes that come to mind. One is ugly guy, hot wife, and ugly wife, hot guy. The trope page for ugly wife, hot guy is very small. There's not many examples of the combination of a conventionally hunky, attractive guy and a frumpier woman, per se. Now, ugly is obviously, none of these people are actually ugly. For starters, it's Hollywood, they're all actors, they all look good in some capacity. But it's the perception in universe. Well, on the other hand, ugly guy, hot wife has tons of examples, and we can think of examples off the top of our head, from popular sitcoms and things Everybody Loves Raymond. There are whole episodes dedicated to, oh, Deborah's really hot. Oh, now Ray's jealous. Don't worry, we'll get an end of the episode confession from Deborah going, I think you're really hot, Ray. That's why I put in so much effort for you. But it's an episode feature. I mean, King of Queens is another one.
I was going to use that example. Yeah.
Doug, overweight and, not conventionally attractive to the, whole muscular men are the pinnacle of attractive thing, while Carrie is considered, the hot little Italian chick.
Modern Family.
Yep, another one. There's a very consistent theme of this idea that, even Homer and Marge. Even Homer and Marge is an example of that.
Homer's hot. Homer's got something going for him. He's loyal and loving.
And that's what,
he's not smart.
And yet his safety to nuclear pact. Yeah. That's about accuracy of real life.
He did become an astronaut.
Yeah.
But so did Barbie. Sorry, you guys don't have a 10-year-old daughter.
Oh, no. Barbie's got quite the career path. She's great.
Barbie's oh my God. Barbie's a teacher, an astronaut, a race car driver, or she does equestrian at the Olympics. She's a scuba, a marine biologist. Yeah, she's done it all.
Yeah, it's why, to be honest, that's why I personally don't get when people hate on Barbie as a conventional girl's toy, because it's literally no, Barbie
is a sick role model. Yeah.
That's like,
Just weirdly proportioned.
Yeah.
yeah, that's Barbie's one flaw.
Yeah. Women don't look like that.
Like,
If they do, that's a weird ass surgery.
I don't know where your organs go. Like, where do you put your organs?
have
Like,
you
in
seen
your
the
boobs.
neck?
Yes.
Like Barbie's feet are the main bro. Like Barbie's feet are a big one. Like they can like, apparently someone did a thing of if Barbie's feet were proportional, she'd collapse.
Yeah,
She
no,
just
she'd
couldn't
fall
move.
over. Those feet don't work. And the length of, like, from her knees to her ankles, it's a long way.
And then there's the tiniest little feet.
Little tiny feet at the bottom, yeah. Oh, God. But anyway, yeah, no, it's... We digress. Welcome to the show. This is what we do here. Yeah, so I think that you're dead right. So what we're getting at there is the popular media, movies, songs. Didn't even think of that personally. But especially me being a songwriter and a musician, that probably should have been the first thing I thought of. But I don't write those kind of songs. So
That's just one example that I thought of off the top of my head on the way here. Well, I've actually discussed how bad that song is previously with Bernadette. And on my way here, I thought, I should bring that up.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's definitely something that is projected, portrayed, and pushed.
yeah, because it's the norm.
Yep.
It's therefore, yeah, and I mean,
how often do you bob along to a song in the car, whether it be metal or pop or whatever you're listening
Yeah.
to at the time, and sing along without even realize what you're singing to?
oh, absolutely, yeah.
Like
but
very, very subconscious levels of things
yeah,
as well.
I was going to say that things get sink in a subliminal way. Now I'm thinking about how far back does this go? Like, where in history does this concept? Is it always been there? Where, like, you know?
Well, given how misogynistic and you will value me for this history is, I'm going to guess quite far. I mean, I know you're a massive fan of the Bridgerton soundtrack.
the soundtrack, yeah, the show
The
itself.
entire
My
show,
God, that's
that is
a worry.
very much, why don't you send me that? It's because I'm not of this status.
yeah.
Well, in one example that actually was a topic with that boy I had a crush on was the Phantom of the Opera. Now we both were big Phantom of the Opera fans, and one is I don't know if you guys have seen or any of the Phantom of the Opera, but you've got this. It's based on a book written like I think it's early 1900s or late 1800s of this young soprano and this phantom, like this horribly disfigured man who lives within the opera, takes her under his wing and teaches her how to sing. And there is actually another person who is who does love her childhood sweetheart, and they meet up, and she looks like she's going to get engaged to him, and she does get engaged to him, and it is portrayed as this kind of, especially in the musical, there is, the Phantom loves her, and he obsessively loves her. He kidnaps her at one point, and you've got like he actually he murders people in his pursuit of her.
Yep.
But he's also a tragic figure because the whole reason he cannot get love is because of his face, and well, at least that's his sort of take on it. And then it's really ambiguous as to whether or not Christine loves him back. But you have her fiance, who is he fights for her, he rescues her, and she and Raoul, that's her fiance, do escape the Phantom. But the support for the Phantom was so strong that eventually the musical got a sequel where magically Raoul turns into this horrible alcoholic bastard who, is abusive towards Christine, and it turns out her child is actually the Phantom's, who she conceived, with right before they escaped. And it's almost this sequel kind of indulged this whole idea that the Phantom was quote unquote nice to Christine, therefore he gets to have Christine.
He deserves it, yeah.
But the funny thing is, you look at the original thing, he's control, like the niceness extended to I taught her how to sing, and a very creepy obsession with her. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the musical thing of it, and I've got a big sort of I will openly admit, being a hypocrite here, but I love my media with the creepy stalker person in it. It's just fun to, not be in that position, but, just be like, haha.
We all love You, right? On Netflix.
Like,
how good's Joe? But he's a weird, creepy stalker serial killer. But we love him.
It's like, and even then, he's like, he had the nice guy thing throughout the first season, especially with the whole thing of like, how dare
Why is
Beth...
she with him? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when it's flipped, it's, wow, this is not okay.
Yeah, like that's one thing I did enjoy about like the turnaround with love.
Yeah.
Like, love is that's you, man. That's you in the mirror. It's like that's you in the mirror. Yeah.
You see, for me, I think back to when I was at high school and coming through it, and I had that kind of a lot of those thoughts because I was like, I didn't think that the women would like me. I'm just like not attractive, right? But I didn't consider myself friend zoned by my female friends. I just resigned myself to the fact that women weren't into me. So therefore, hey, look, I've got all these female friends. At least I've got friends, right? And they were really good friends. I mean, they told me a long time later, like at my school reunion, that they were all disappointed that I didn't put any moves on because they all had crushes on me. And I'm like, oh, but you were my friends. And they're like, did you notice that there were no other boys in our group? You're like the only boy? I'm like, but that's because I'm nice, right? And they're like, do you realize how attractive that is? And I'm like, well, obviously not. But
I've had quite a few where I'm usually the one that gets picked up. I don't do the picking up.
Yeah,
and quite often I don't actually quite understand what's happening until it's really pointed out to me.
Yeah. But you also have, case in point, female friends, right? And
I was also raised by lesbians, so it was kind of beaten out of me to have expectations.
well, that's fair. Yeah, you got two mums. Yeah.
Gosh.
Abnormal situation is often helpful.
Yes.
But for me personally, I remember.
Please note, my mum didn't actually beat it out of me. She was very loving and supportive.
Yep. Okay.
It's like, disclaimer.
Sorry, mum.
No, but I remember that attitude being thrown around as like, oh, why do these guys get the girl? For me, it was just like, well, I'm not the football guy who gets drunk every weekend.
I do absolutely remember sitting back going, why is she with him?
Yeah,
and
I remember that.
Shoots up in the toilets in school.
But I would never take it to the next point, which is, why isn't she with me? I would question why women were with these men, going, that guy's a piece of shit. Why is she with him? But I didn't manifest that into something to do with me.
I mean, I've definitely had the why isn't she with me and, self-analysing and going, what's wrong with me? But it wasn't, why is she with him over me?
Yeah, no, that's true, because I've done that and gone, what is it? Am I not attractive? Am I not a good guy? But Bernadette made the point earlier. You're not necessarily, because when she was trying to explain to that guy, like, why don't you want to be with me? Why do you want to be with him? But I do that. I'm nice to you. I don't know. It's the chemistry. It's your pheromones. Who knows? We're animals.
I just don't like you.
Yeah, I don't. And you know what else? I don't have to like you.
Yeah.
So you can buy me flowers. You can talk for hours. I
do remember one instance where there was this chick that I was into, and she clearly wasn't to me. There was a particular job where I wasn't proud of working there. I didn't want to be there. I didn't want anyone to come visit me. I made it very, very clear. And within 2 weeks, she'd already rocked up twice. And I'm like, okay, yeah, no. I was like, huh? And I'm like, no, thank you.
Boundary crossing is a big thing.
You don't respect boundaries, yeah. And I mean, to sum it up, I mean, that's the big thing. But one other aspect of it that I wanted to mention is people's ability to handle rejection. Yeah. Okay.
There's also the flips. Let you finish now, I'll say my point.
So when people are rejected, okay, when you tell the object of your affection that you're into them, or you indicate to them, or you shoot your shot, basically, and you miss the mark, and it's the no, sorry, I'm just not that into you. we can be friends, right? That then gets misconstrued into, oh, they friend zoned me. So therefore they're coming up with some sort of padding to put down to protect themselves when they fall, to go, oh, well, she's a bitch, she friend zoned me. No, she's not a bitch, she's just not into you.
I
She doesn't
definitely
have to be.
feel like there's a lot of ego / self-esteem protection that goes in that regard.
Yeah. Because no one likes to be rejected, but at the end of the day, suck it up and move on.
I think there's actually a thing that when it comes to... I think there's a combination of a lot of messaging out there is a relationship is kind of the pinnacle of showing that you're worth something as a person. I remember seeing there was an expression, someone used the wording, and I thought it was really good. But a relationship is having a witness to your life. It gives your life something that has, this person sees you, this person will care if you are gone. And there's a big thing around that being like perceived as one of the only really acceptable ways of having, like, for the average person to get meaning to our lives. Like, we're not all going to be, rich or famous or have big inventions, while having this, one-on-one connection with someone where they are there and you're there and you both care for each other that deeply is kind of seen as like almost a peak you'll be able to achieve, that you're, for lack of a better term, a lot of people think is guaranteed to achieve. Now, the thing is, friendships can have just as fulfilling a role in one's life, but they're treated as almost a consolation prize. So one of the things that like when you bring up the rejection thing, is a lot of people view friendship as this consolation prize or proof that you failed. So they don't want that. One of the only kind of definitions of the friend zone that I actually sort of agreed with was one that a friend told me while drunk, which was that they believe that you can put people in the friend zone, but it's actually part of it of you being afraid of the consequences of a relationship ending. You want them, you love them, you want to make those moves on them, and you know that they feel the same way for them. But you don't want to risk losing the relationship entirely in the event of a breakup. So consequently, the safe place to keep them is this so-called friend region. But that is because part of that is leading into this whole thing of relationships being seen as success. So the end of a relationship is seen as failure, and the inability to achieve a relationship is seen as failure. So there is a whole thing around this fear of rejection, either down the road or immediately, that just paralyzes people from actually acting. Like, how many of these friend zone complaints come from guys who never actually made a move as well? Like, to be honest, like, to use the most
Like, they just expected it was going to happen because they were there.
Like, to use the most morbid example, Elliot Rodgers. I read the guy's manifesto, all 140 or 30 pages of it, and his entire thing was, he complained about being rejected by women. He complained about, how he was hard done by and things like that because women were rejecting him. You know what I got out of reading that thing?
What?
He never actually approached a woman. Not once. He skipped classes, he took his parents' tuition money to get himself fancy clothes, but he would actually stand around hoping women would approach him because he was under the impression that women approach. If a man's, standing around looking attractive near expensive cars, that women approach. And
he's watched Lynx commercials.
Yeah, Axe body spray. And he would, to be honest, he was also incredibly racist in his diatribe because he did have the whole why she would them, but not with me. Typically, if he saw a, to quote him, hot blonde girl with a black man or an Asian man or someone who was not, white, or himself. But there was this perception that every time a woman was in his vicinity and did not choose him, it was a rejection.
So that's a really inflated sense of worth.
Yeah,
that's an ego out of control.
Inflated sense of worth. It was the fact that he felt so worthless that he had to do stuff to get them to come to him, and when they didn't, it was more rejection.
And you've seen and also, one of the things that media did actually make a bit of a thing around is, he wasn't, bad looking, why wouldn't women go to him? But it's flip it. He wasn't bad looking. why did he not engage with women? Mm-hmm. Like, you know, it wouldn't have been a thing. It was weird because it wasn't even a thing on, like, it didn't fit the whole, you know, script of, oh, ugly men get rejected no matter how nice they are. They only go for, you know, handsome chads that they don't, you know, even speak to. Well, dude didn't speak to women. Dude just kind of literally did everything.
Look, I know plenty of, like, let's say, not by society's normal definitions of unattractive men, who have successful relationships or have had plenty of girlfriends or get laid. Same with women, purely because they talk to the opposite sex or the same sex or the objects of their desire.
Yeah.
You know, they put an effort in. So if you do that, it doesn't matter. You don't have to be real hot. I'm not, you know, but I learned at some point in my life that if I actually put a little bit of effort in, people will talk to me. Not necessarily for the point of a conquest. I mean, I've never, like we were saying before, I've never picked up in my life, like in a pub or even 20 years of being lead singer in a band. It never happened to me. But that was through lack of effort. But I know now, in the last few years, since becoming a lot more stable in myself, that really all it takes is a little bit of effort. And if you talk to somebody, they will engage with you. But the thing is, they then have a choice to go, not into you.
Yeah.
And then they can leave the situation. In the situation you're describing, nothing ventured means nothing gained. So therefore, you can't blame them for not just chasing you down in the street and throwing themselves at you, because that's not going to happen. You haven't indicated any sort of interest. So
That's about the sign that I need, though.
What's that?
That's about the sign that I need, though.
Yeah, that's it. Why are you naked laying on the ground in front of me? Oh, hang on a sec. Do you think she likes me?
Actually, funny story.
Oh, God.
There was actually one person who was apparently proactively trying to get with me. However, she was an ex of a friend, and I'm like, and I didn't realize at the time that she was actually trying to sleep with me. And so at one point she was literally laying in my bed and grabbed me below the belt, and I didn't even click.
Well, on your knee.
Yes.
So a woman
on my
grabs-
third leg, yeah. It didn't even click. I was like, I just thought it was an accident.
Yeah.
And she was over my house like 3 times a week for about a month.
I had a this is how much of an idiot I am. So going back, you'll just let him into the garage so he shuts up. It's just go, mate. Just go. All right, thank you. Just shut the door. He'll be knocking on it in 5 minutes. So we're talking like, I don't know, a decade or so ago, a long time ago.
I was still looking at my mum's as well.
Yeah, no, I was in a relationship, and I was in a band. Now, part of being the singer in a band is and I don't know where this quote comes from, but you have to be the guy that all the men want to be and all the women want to be with, right? It's part of your persona. So you just kind of, you got to just play a bit. Now, me, I didn't really think that way. I was just kind of being myself and just enjoying and rocking out. But the type of band that I was in was a very sexy kind of, I was singing songs about girls and being in love and sex and having fun. And it was just one of those kind of bands. So you are going to give that impression whether you wanted it or not, right? But you don't go around with people that you're not in your circle of friends going, oh, my girlfriend this, my girlfriend that. It's just not something, unless someone asks, you don't just go around dropping it. And some people will say, oh, you're hiding it from people. No, you're not. It's just in that world, that's not a topic of conversation with fans, with punters, right? So anyway, there was this girl who used to come to our gigs a lot. And she'd hang out with us, not at gigs, just like friends. I had a few beers with her just as a mate, because I'm going, she's a mate. I can be mates with women. I didn't see it any other way. I'm like, oh, she just wants to hang around. She just wants to be a friend. I just assumed that she knew I had a girlfriend, right? Which was a stupid assumption to make, right? Because then one day, after God knows how many months, we're playing this gig and we're at the Rosemount, you know, the wall where, you know, when you go into the Rosemount, there's a wall outside. Yeah, okay. So I'm sitting on the wall on the outside entrance of the Rosemount and she's put her head in my lap. And I've kind of gone, that's weird. No, she's my mate. Whatever. You know, like, I don't have a problem with showing affection to your friends. You're like, some people find the male-to-male physical affection a bit weird and confronting. But I'm like, no, give us a hug, bro. That's all right. You can touch me if you want. Thanks, Cam. That's nice. I don't have a problem with that. Women get away with it. So why can't men? You know, women can hold hands and kiss each other. Like, anyway, that's another topic.
I'm not going to kiss you.
No, you don't have to kiss me. You've got too much of a beard for me.
I do. It's actually an issue right now.
No. I can't even see your lips, so I'm not interested.
I'm getting it cleaned up tomorrow, I promise.
Yeah, okay. We'll come back. But anyway.
Sounds like a date.
So I've kind of like...
me.
You're just here for the food. I'm going to lure you here with pizzas or burgers or something. But anyway,
or just an invite, you know.
Yeah, that's it. But, yeah, so I didn't think anything of it. I'm just like, oh, she's... female, I'm male, we're mates. If she wants to touch me, that's okay. It's not sexual. She's just my friend. We can sit. Because I had those friends before who you'd have a cuddle with on the couch. But it's not, it's just closeness with your mates. Anyway, she's done that and I'm like, thought nothing of it. And then we've got up to go home and the guitar player in the band was staying at my house. And she's like, so, can I come back to your house? And I went, yeah, sure. Hey, why not? And because he was sleeping on the couch and I'm like, yeah, it's all right. There's plenty of couches. And she's kind of like, okay. And we're walking home and she's like a bit drunk. So she's kind of leaning on me and I'm like, oh yeah, it's normal. And then we're halfway home. And my mate goes, oh, is Leah was the name? Is Leah going to be home? And I'm like, yeah, she'll be in bed. And this chick's gone, who's that? I said, oh, that's my partner. And she's like, what? You got a girlfriend? I said, yeah, we've been together for like 6 years. And she's like, I didn't know you had a girlfriend. I'm like, everyone knows I've got a girlfriend. Like, what are you talking about? Like, she goes, you've never mentioned her. I'm like, I'm sure I have. I'm sure it's come up. Maybe I haven't. But I've never acted like I didn't have. I don't know. I didn't realize it. And so I'm like, yeah, she'll be at home. Like, you guys will be sleeping on the couch. She was so upset. And then we never hung out again because I friend-zoned her, didn't I? From her perspective.
Would you?
I don't know what, because she was a friend.
That's actually one thing that I've noticed that even women perpetuate this, where, and I don't think it helps the overall issue, is there is a very restrictive idea of where men can and can't show affection and intimacy. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, another one of the things I've come, like, one of the theories I've seen around why guys get so mad at the friend zone and why they view a woman opening up to them emotionally as an invitation of some description is because a lot of societal messaging says, like, towards women is, okay, we can be emotionally open with our friends, we have that friend network for support. Well, guys don't get that same messaging. Like, we've only really recently started, you know, having the idea of it's okay for men to, you know, cry, it's okay for men to show emotions towards other men. Before that was like, that's gay, dude. But
yeah, you know what? You've made a really excellent point there. I think that that's probably one of the main reasons why when a man does become friends with a woman and she does show a higher level of intimacy because women are just better at that, they perceive that as romantic intimacy, not just intimacy and
I don't even
closeness.
think it's that they're better. It's acceptable for them to.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like... it's not acceptable for boys to cry. Like,
man
fuck
up.
that. I love a good cry, man.
Oh, the shower. Why not?
Oh, jeez.
Adults cry in the shower.
You cry where you need to cry. No, that's interesting because it's like they're perceiving it differently. They're like, oh, she must be into me because she's telling me her deepest stuff. And it's like you say, you tell the guy about another guy you like, and they're like, oh, what?
Yep.
Hang on a second. It's like, why not take that as a positive and go, wow, this chick trusts me on such a high level that she's telling me girl stuff that she tells other girls. I've got a really good friend here. But that's not how it works.
It becomes an affront.
Yeah.
Like, I've noticed that even, like, women aren't immune to perpetuating this because on the other hand, when you do have a guy who is more openly affectionate or openly sort of intimate with female friends and things like that, is that you will have you will have times where other women will actually view this as a slight, especially if they have linked that guy to another girl.
Yeah.
Like, I personally have had girls come up to me telling me that, oh, that guy's bad news. He, hugged so-and-so and something, and it'll be like another girl, something like that. Or oh, they allowed so-and-so to, to cuddle up to them and things like that. There is this, while simultaneously we have this, messaging out there where we are trying to, make it more normal for men to be affectionate and intimate and not have to consolidate all of their touch and emotional needs just onto their partner. Hence the whole your partner, girlfriends aren't your therapist sort of slogan that's around the place. But at the same time, men branching out and not, withholding all of their affections and all of their, attitude, all their good attitude and all those nice feelings that girls get to enjoy.
Yeah.
If they're not, centering that only on their partner, you then have it almost perceived almost as pseudo-infidelity by some. So there is a lot of push and shove around how it is acceptable for men to display emotion and for men to form connections with other people. So behaviors that are deemed that are supposed to be desirable and supposed to be something we want can also easily get flipped around and treated poorly and used to get a little bit crazy, to be honest. Like, there's part of when you think about the difference between the crazy possessive girlfriend and the crazy possessive boyfriend in terms of how it gets treated by the media and things like that, it will, crazy possessive girlfriend is, I heard that, you didn't reject Sally off of the get-go, while crazy possessive boyfriend is, I heard you were in the vicinity of other men.
Yeah. Wow. That's something that really says a lot. I think that that really kind of rounds it up, is that, like, it really comes down to the men's perception of how that love for friends being normal among women is not a normal thing for men. So I make it as normal as possible. Because to me it is. I'm close with my friends.
I cuddle up to you.
Yeah, you can cuddle me. You're big and cuddly. I love that. I don't get to be Little Spoon very often at all, man. And if I do, it's kind of weird because they're generally smaller than me.
Yeah, it's really... I mean, I don't even call them Little Spoon. I call them a backpack. Spoon would imply there's, length, and normally they don't come to much further than my butt.
No.
Look, just pretend it's you're Luke and it's Yoda on Dagobah.
Oh, there
That's
you go.
a turn on right there.
Yeah. Or Master Blaster from Beyond Thunderdome. You seen that? A little man sitting on top of the guy. Yeah, it's Mad Max 3.
I'm more than happy for Yoda to mount me. I mean, right.
Yeah. Yes. Oh God, that's a whole nother story.
I think that comes back to consent right there.
Yeah. So really, if we could teach men or teach boys that it's okay to share your emotions amongst each other, when a girl does that, you're not automatically going to see that as an act of love. It's just an act of friendship because that's what you do for each other.
I mean, I also feel like it needs to be normalized, taking some time to get over any embarrassment of saying your feelings, even though that should be normalized in itself. And then any hurt that comes from it, etc.
Yeah.
I mean, it is emotion. It doesn't mean it's going to be fun or easy. There definitely is the moment of, oh, my feelings, they're not reciprocated. Take the moment, grieve, move on. But the emphasis is move on.
Yeah. No, and I really think, and I'm just gonna say it again. I think that that point that Bernadette brought up there, that is probably the most important point. And I think that's the message we need to get across is like, you're looking at it the wrong way. You're looking at it from a position of insecurity and the rejection of something that you're not actually, that didn't exist. Like they didn't see it that way. So it's not like they've made a decision not to be with you. They saw you as a friend because you acted like a friend. And going back to the example of well, I was just there being a nice guy. Yeah, but you didn't indicate to her that you were interested. If you did indicate to her that you were interested, she could have said to you, no, I'm not. Or maybe she lives in that world that you and I have lived in where she doesn't know. Maybe she's not picking up signals either, and she actually needs, like, the woman actually needs you to go, hey, how you doing? I'm interested, want to go on a date.
It's actually interesting how many people, I won't just say guys, but how many people will preemptively reject themselves rather than actually make the move to do something. Like, you'll have some, like, there's a handful of things where either I've had friends who've experienced it, or it'll be things that come up in conversation where you'll have those situations where, oh yeah, I found out so-and-so was into me, but then 15 seconds later, like, oh yeah, but I don't want to do anything about it. Oh, I don't want to change anything. I don't want to do this. It's like, and it's like, oh, it's not what, this, and it's like, cool, literally, nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Yeah.
If you go,
Is this also where I chime in with the putting your arm around them while they're asleep is not a good indicator?
Oh, God.
That breaches the whole line that I'm not.
It's like, and then you have the flip side, the ones who are like, I've taken the fact that you've spoken to me as consent.
Yeah.
Like, God, someone would need to go F off.
Consent is a very distinct line. Right?
Yes.
And hints are also very...
Yeah.
They need to be at least direct.
Yeah,
I mean... Just say, this and accept their response.
Oh, mate. Yeah. I tell you what, if I had $1 for every time I missed a hint, I'd have at least $3.
Jeff Bezos.
But yeah.
Actually, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. There is this thing where you've got nothing ventured, nothing gained, but you'll have these people venture into like, the way I will try and get their attention is by putting my arm around them, or grabbing their dick, or this or that. Anything except using our big people words and actually going, hey, I'm into you. Want to go on a date?
I remember one woman at the big day out. So this is how far back we're going. I think I was 18 or 19 because it didn't last much longer after that. And she was just walking through the crowd, just grabbing guys to see what their response would be. And I kind of grabbed her hand and went, what the hell? And she's like, wow, you're the first guy to actually call me out for it. I'm like, okay, what are you trying to achieve here? Is this your way of hinting, or what are you doing?
Yeah.
So that's fucking weird, man. It's amazing the kind of lengths that people will go to actually kind of, and I think that in itself is another way people avoid that moment of being vulnerable and don't really know how to sort of express intimacy, because you will have there are things where people will oh my God, they might have strayed too close and into me, like they were drunk or something like that, but don't worry, the next morning it's like, oh no, don't pay attention to me, I was drunk, drunk people say crazy shit. It's like, or just own it.
Well, I mean, my perspective on that is that alcohol inhibits your it errors your judgment, so it impairs your judgment and it
Yes, I can climb that tree.
Yes.
I could not
it
climb that tree.
it impairs your judgment and it lowers your inhibitions. That is the two things that alcohol does. It does not force you to do things you wouldn't have considered doing. It just makes the choice to do them easier. And the belief in yourself.
I was so sure I broke my collarbone that fall.
I once told my boss that one of my sister hated him. Yep, I was then going like, yeah, she hates you so fucking much, man.
Yeah, but all of these things that drunk people do, these aren't things that alcohol forced you to do. It's just that it enabled
Pretty
you.
sure sleeping in a wheelbarrow is something that alcohol forces you to do.
I don't know. I think it just enables you. You really wanted to do that. You don't blame the alcohol for that. Anyone who says, "Oh, look, I didn't know what I was doing. I was drunk. I really didn't mean to grab your ass." Yeah, you did. It's just that if you weren't drunk, you would have gone, "Fuck, she's got a nice ass. Better not grab it because that's wrong." When you're drunk, you go, "Fuck, she's a nice ass. Oh shit, I'm grabbing it."
Or the amount of times you see people go, "Oh, I had to get really drunk to do that." It's like, okay, well, you just removed all ability to remove You removed all ability to take away accountability.
Yeah.
There's definitely
It's not PCP. Let's put it that way. If you were like, "Oh, I was on PCP. I didn't know it." Oh, okay. Yeah, all right.
Look, I had a bag of mushrooms, all right. I couldn't see anything other than the dragon.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Alcohol doesn't do that. It's
like, alcohol is very much the inhibitions lower, but you're not going to do anything that wasn't already kind of almost in your nature in a way.
Yeah, exactly. It's just going to make it easier for you to do it.
Yeah, it's that thing of, to use another dark example to go with the whole thing, alcohol isn't going to turn someone into a abusive personality if there wasn't already those issues. Alcohol isn't going to cause someone to, disregard consent to such an extent.
Yeah.
If that wasn't already something bad.
Yeah. It takes away that block that would have stopped you doing it. It stops you being rational. But anyway, as far as friend zones are concerned, I think I've definitely come up with a whole new view on that. And that view really comes down to how your ability to feel emotions from your friend, within your friends, and share that with your friends versus with a lover or a love interest. The separation of those two is incredibly difficult for some people, which is something I hadn't even thought about. But I think that's the main thing, is that separation is so difficult for some people. And a lot of times men, because of that whole don't
social
show your
conditioning.
emotion, don't feel it, So when a girl is... well, that's normal for women, then go, "Shut up, Crumpet! Jesus Christ, mate! What's your opinion, pal?
Tell us how you feel.
Go in there, eat 3 biscuits, and then leave again, because that's what you're going to do, isn't it?" So if we if we can handle rejection, if we didn't manifest that into, "Oh my God,
Woe
I
is
deserve
me."
this. Yeah, I deserved it. And we could just go, "Wow, she was nice to me because I'm nice to her," and let's leave it at that. But if you
Process your
didn't,
emotion and move on.
if you didn't indicate to her that you were actually interested, and she made a friend out of you over a long period of time, which is how these things happen. It's over a long period of time, and then she goes, "Oh no, we're just friends." Don't get upset because you left it until that point where she'd already become your friend before you said anything. One other way this happens, though, is when you meet someone, you date this person because you might meet them through an app or whatever. You date them, you decide that dating them's not the greatest thing in the world, so you become friends. One of my closest friends is an ex-girlfriend. And she is one of my best friends. She's an amazing person. She's a bit weird. She knows that.
I'm pretty sure anyone we associate with is going to be weird.
But she's wonderful. We talk all the time. And when she's seeing this guy at the moment who she's so into, it sounds I'm really happy for him because he sounds like it's happy for him, happy for her too. Happy for her because he sounds like a great dude. But I've never considered that I was friend zoned. We just didn't work.
One thing I find really interesting is I have a few female friends that will introduce me to potential partners just to see how they react.
So how the potential partner reacts.
Yeah. Because they get triggered by me or something because, I don't know, the girl's comfortable around me or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's always really interesting to see what comes from it.
Okay. I just think that... I just don't think that you and I have ever been friend zoned because we don't necessarily fit into the category of men that are they're going to be there.
You don't view friendship as, oh, here's your no sex prize.
That's right. It's not the consolation. It's like I said, men who think they've been friend zoned don't value women as friends. And when it comes down to what I've experienced in the female friends that I have, like Skye, for example, we do this podcast. People have said to her, like, "Oh, why aren't you dating Damo?" And like, well, we're friends. There's not been any romantic interest. And then people say to me, like, "Oh, have you ever had any? Has there ever been anything happen?" It's different from men. They'll ask a woman, "Are you interested in dating Damo?" Whereas they'll ask me, "Have you slept with her?"
Yeah. Recent experience with that.
That's what they expect men because that's the
Same
question you
person
ask a man.
Asking 2 questions to me, depending whether or not Bernadette's around.
Okay. Interesting.
If Bernadette's around, it's, are you dating or why aren't you dating?
Yeah.
If it's just me, it's not dating they're asking about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's like, okay, so why is that?
Well, are you right?
Yeah, there's
Buddy.
definitely still a very old sort of presumption that men are more interested in sex, or men have, like, I even had, again, Reddit. One guy actually was like, it's full of a subreddit of these guys mostly men, honestly, talking about how they want to increase their sex lives with their wives. And a lot of them, the grand majority of them, actually are talking about how they want that intimacy. That is how they connect. That's how, to them, it's a very emotional act. And I already had one guy coming at me going like, oh, well, men view, sex as transactional. Women are the more emotional ones. It's like, dude, literally look around. You're wrong as hell.
I mean, how many people or how many women these days are like, you want my attention? Going to cost you.
Like, yeah, like that's very, that's very female dating strategy.
It's definitely becoming more predominant as women are becoming more independent of the need to have a partner.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's a good thing and a bad thing. Like, I don't think everything should come back to the money thing. It's still, I think it is a thing of what do you bring.
Can we just stop treating everyone as transactional?
Yes, it's a thing of what do you bring to the table, but it's not what do you bring to the table in terms of this is a business table, business negotiation. It's what do you bring to as a kitchen table where we can build a life together and things like that. What are your, it's even then, it's not like a job interview. Everyone views it like this is the table at a job interview or a business meeting or a merger. And to be honest, it should kind of be viewed as the question of what do you bring to the table should be more domestic.
You mentioned the end game earlier on. Like, do people come into a relationship thinking that there's an end game? You shouldn't. You should view it as open-ended. Like, if you think, what's the end game here and am I prepared for it and how is that going to happen, you're already setting yourself up for failure.
Yep. Like, I think a lot of people, especially if they've already had bad experiences with relationships before, look at a relationship and see it's a possible how many ways this could possibly go up in flames. And ultimately,
I definitely do that.
And that's ultimately not a winning strategy. You're never going to you're never going to be happy if the whole reason, if you're looking, like, to be honest, it's completely counterintuitive because ultimately you want to look for a relationship where you're happy, and you do see these instances where people are, and you will see people actually admit to this, where they will pursue relationships with people they aren't as into as the person they're into because it's going to hurt less when that relationship ends.
And this is where I'm going to emphasize, get therapy.
Yes, please do.
The what if scenario is actually very prevalent throughout society, and it shouldn't be.
And I put it into this term, I love analogies. Do you think that Usain Bolt, when he was going on his way to becoming the fastest man in the world, would approach it with, oh, but I might not win? No. He was like, before he even knew that he was the fastest man in the world, before he broke any records, before he won any Olympic golds, he was going, I'm going to beat you. I'm going to win. Do you think Mike Tyson was going into fights at 15 years old going, I'm not going to be the champion. You know, I'm not going to be the champion of the world. He was like, I am going to be this. I mean, so relationships the same. I am going to be the best I can be. I am going to succeed in this relationship. Not, oh, but, you know, like she might just like leave me for someone else because they're better than me. You know?
Yeah. And I think there's something to be said for also just enjoying things as they come, like be in a relationship, to enjoy being in a relationship. One of my bugbears is the whole side hustle culture thing that's definitely taken like a skyrocket through the pandemic, where the idea, monetize your hobbies, do this, do that. It already had a hell of a lot of a predecessor in this idea that if you have a hobby, you ought to be good at it, and if you aren't good at it, then it doesn't matter whether you enjoy it. It's you should change to something you're good at. Now, like, to be honest, how many people out there, and are actually good at math but won't admit it because they don't enjoy it? Or, or math sucks and all that stuff. Like, personally, I like math, but that's not me. Oh my god, I'm actually really cute right now.
Whoa, there goes 10 years of my life.
Hey, sorry. The cat just, like, launched himself onto Cameron's back. Like, he looks like a stable place to sit. No one's paying attention to me. I'm going to just go for the jump. Yeah.
Oh, you're going to change of underwear?
That was brilliant.
But yeah, you've got this thing where it doesn't matter if you enjoy it or not. If you're good at it, you should pursue it. And, like, to be honest, I think a lot of, ex-gifted children can emphasize with the fact that just because you're good at something doesn't mean you enjoy something.
Yep.
And I think that needs to kind of be extended to relationships in a way, rather than viewing everything as like, okay, this is the end game. Because I think there is this whole fixation on a really strange sort of perception of success, where a success is the relationship goes on forever and we get married.
Yep.
But due to that fixation, if there's any sort of thing of, oh shit, what if we break up, and what if this happens? And like, I'm not saying that relationships should be entered into with no idea in mind. Like, obviously, like, for instance, a non-monogamous getting together with monogamous is probably not a grand idea.
No.
It's probably not going to result in any either of them being happy. Like, there needs to be some alignment of general goals at the beginning, or at least not any glaring incompatibilities.
I mean, there's things that you can overlook, like, I like to listen to death metal, you like to listen to Taylor Swift. We can still be together. That's okay. But, yeah, like...
That sounds like a Taylor...
with me?
I was going to say, that sounds like Taylor Swift.
Could you belong with me?
Yeah, that's it. I'm into death metal, you're into Taylor Swift.
See, that just flows.
Yeah. Those kind of things, that's not what you're talking about. But those major kind of who you are. And this was... Here we go. That meme that I showed you earlier, it wasn't a meme, it was just something that someone wrote on the interwebs, on the inner tubes, was the if a man will change his ways for the right woman, no. Yeah. The right
Someone
man
wants to change me, they can get fucked.
Yeah, the right man or the right woman.
I think you told me that like the day I met you.
Yeah, doesn't need to change.
My life, not Chris.
No, they don't need to change. Someone doesn't need to change. Like Skye, I mean, we'll talk about it. She's not here. She can't defend herself. She doesn't like smokers.
Neither do I.
Good on her. That's good on you. That's fine. Don't judge her for that. Don't judge you for that. And people are like, oh, well, I'm really great in every other way. She doesn't like smokers. So I'm sorry. It doesn't matter what else you've got going on. That's a hard no, and she's made that clear up front. So, like, don't hide it. Just deal with it. Like, she's not into that.
I don't fuck with Polly either.
No, well, that's fair enough. Yeah. And you make that clear too, yeah.
So there's a very... Like... it's funny because when people talk about requirements, like they will talk about them as though they're requirements and things like that, rather than just viewing it as preferences and boundaries. But when people talk about requirements for relationships, you'll often have people kind of pull out the thing of, oh, well, you know, all these 5 foot nothing girls want guys over 6 foot, and that will be their kind of go-to as in terms of unreasonable expectations. I'm not saying, like, you know, it's a bit of a, like, I don't actually think there is an army of 5 foot women out there, or
There are an army of 5 foot women out there.
Look, I'm not.
There's an army of them.
Could you show me?
Not
Can
with
you
the height
can you
limits.
give me directions to their barracks, please? Just quietly. Anyway,
It's like,
It's funny because you go somewhere.
I want to see this army of 5 foot women.
Short people.
Oh, I see, but everyone's like, when you're a literal giant, like.
Just because they're 5'3", they're now declared 5 foot nothing just for the sake
Yeah,
of it.
5 foot nothing, mate. I'm 5'10", and I'm tiny next to you. Jesus Christ.
I mean, to be fair, Bernadette here is actually 5'1".
Well, there you
and
go,
she is
yeah.
now officially declared 5 foot nothing.
Yeah, when I was setting up
It doesn't
the.
actually matter what she says. She's now part of this army.
Well, I mean, I had the microphone up on books when she got here because I sat down and I'm like, oh, I'm going to go with it's around here. So whether I take a book away or not, no, I took the whole lot. Yeah.
There is a literal army of these, 5 foot people out there.
yeah, but
Yeah.
we're not all it's that thing of we're not all listing in our dating profiles. Oh yeah, only apply if you were
Must
6
be
foot and
6
above,
foot,
sort of
yeah.
thing.
Yep.
There's this.
Most of our don't apply. I don't care.
Yeah, well, it's like when people bring up the height. Like I've had people make comments about height things and stuff like that. And I'm just like, mates, do you think I actually notice the distinction above like a certain height? Like all of you are tall.
Everyone's
You're all
tall,
just
yeah.
freakish giants. You need to just. I don't know, take a jar off the top shelf.
I don't know. To me, like I said, I'm
Just a
5'10".
step ladder.
Yeah.
I'm 5'10", so as soon as someone's 6 foot, I'm like, oh, they're big.
Yeah,
But
so
that's
back at my previous job, there was someone who was taller than me, like substantially taller than me.
how tall are you?
6'3".
Okay. Yeah.
Like he was, I think, 6'7", and
Jeez,
it
yeah.
was actually insane just how much different it felt.
Yeah.
But then there's people that are
Must be
smaller
nice.
than me, and I'm just like, oh yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah,
Like-
yeah, but that's what you used to. I mean, for me, like I said, 5'10", so you're 5 inches taller than me, which is only that much, but it feels like a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Must be nice to be surprised when things are taller than you.
Look, I can see the top of the fridge.
I know. It's where
Okay,
things
so
go
a
missing.
bit of backstory. One of our friends actually bought Bernard a stepladder because...
Oh, that's condescending.
No, well, yes, but the other thing is, because I'm so tall, I don't actually recognize how small she is. So I put
Well,
stuff
because
on...
everyone's small
Yeah,
to you.
that's the thing. But I used to put stuff... Oh, I still do it. I put stuff on top of the fridge because storage. Or
Yeah,
I put
yeah.
stuff on the top shelves because for me it's just... Oh, yeah,
You might as well have dropped it into a black hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is actually one of those things that it came in useful.
Yeah, I've got it's tucked between the fridge and some of the cabinets because
Yeah.
that's where I need it.
That's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that particular thing because there's a trend / resurgence that comes out online every so often. Like, probably makes an appearance every 6 months, once a year, whatever. Which is, short women, do you realize that your main appeal is because you look like children and attracts pedophiles, and that's why any man that is attracted to you is fixated by your height? And so I was sitting there going, like, literally don't get me wrong, I've had some creeps be really weird about my height before, but they kind of be weird about the whole damn thing. But, no, for the most part, the comment I get on my height is, ha ha ha, you can't reach that. It's just like, yes, this is very clearly fetishistic behavior rather
Yeah.
than everyone just kind of being
Yeah, that's it. I think personally that it's a bit of a caveman thing for me. If you're smaller than me, I feel like a big, strong man. I will open the jar for you. Yes, that is, I lift weights so I can open jars for women. Yes,
If they're smaller than me,
like everybody.
yeah. I actually, like...
So if you so if you went around going, I want to date a woman larger than me, I'm really sorry, but you're cutting down your pool to a very small drip.
I think I've only met 3 or 4.
Women bigger than you.
Yeah.
Like I'm saying physically larger,
Yeah.
not just taller, yeah. Whoa. There are not many women that big.
Well, I'm also like 145 kilos.
yeah.
And I'm 6'3".
Yeah.
I'm a big individual.
You're a big fella, yeah. So a 6'3", 145 kilo woman is probably an athlete.
Yeah.
Probably a basketballer or something like that.
Like,
plays AFL.
It's a very, very minute portion of the population
it's
at
not many.
best.
Because if you're a woman and you're that big, you would use that somehow. Yeah. No, but I think I don't know. Everyone's got their thing, right? So I'm sure that there are plenty of men out there who think that 6'3", 140.
Although if they're 6'3", that would be pretty spread out as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not normal to come across women that are 6'3".
To be honest, the only woman I've ever met who had a height restriction on, like in real life, who had a height restriction on dating was
territory.
She was actually 5'10". She was 5'10", and she would not date anyone shorter than her.
Oh, okay.
But also, she also had a history of people. She liked wearing high heels.
Yeah, I was gonna say
there was a lot of gentlemen who were shorter than her who did not appreciate the added height that she would get.
So it's more of a
down
man
to men
thing.
insecurities.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the men. I know a woman who's over 6 foot, and she just kind of like she doesn't like short men, but at the same time, what are you going to do? Like, just not date because you happen to be tall. Like, ideally, she'd love to date a taller man, but, she's almost 6'1". So.
Like, I'd imagine she'd be dealing with quite a bit of the, hoping that she doesn't come across anyone that's so insecure, but they try and sort of control her clothing and behaviours.
Yeah. No high heels.
I mean, there's also a lot of the societal expectation of the woman must be smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, because I'm a big, strong man and I must protect you with my muscles.
Well, it's like when I see them walking towards me in the street, I feel obliged to step out of the way because I'll do them damage if we collide.
Yeah. Whereas, don't you love, sorry, just on that, like, don't you love those men who just feel like they have to
barge into them
play
to assert
chicken?
their dominance?
Yeah.
How many times have you seen me get bowled over?
You don't need to assert your dominance on women because they're smaller than you. Because
try it with me. Let's see who comes out better.
Yeah, that's it. Look, anyway, we've been going for a long time. I think we've covered a great deal of the friend zone. I think we've fleshed that out really well. So, thank you very much for coming, guys. Hopefully, Skye's in better form next week and we can get back to our regularly scheduled programming or however they say. But, really appreciate your time. And thanks again.
Thank you very much.
Nice. All good.